Hello, seventh grade. It is Monday, May 4th, and we have lesson 109 today, equations with exponents. Now, we've done equations with exponents when we've done the Pythagorean theorem in the past, but there's going to be a new twist today. All right, so if we take a right triangle and we're solving for one of the legs, you know about this. 3 and A are the legs, the two sides of the right angle, and 5 is the hypotenuse. And to solve for one of the legs, we would set up 3 squared plus a squared equals 5 squared. Simplify it, 9 plus a squared equals 25. Isolate the variable term by subtracting 9 from both sides. A squared equals 16. And now what do we say A is? A is 4. Well, A is 4. It's the side length of the triangle. However, if we were not doing a triangle problem where the length has to be a positive value, because length is always positive, you can't have a negative length, look back at this equation, a squared equals 16. Well, we know that 4 times 4 equals 16. But what about negative 4 times negative 4? That equals 16 too. So really, there are two solutions to an exponential equation like this. They would be positive and negative 4 would make this equation true. However, with the Pythagorean theorem, we only say A is a positive 4. But if we don't have a triangle, if we're just solving an equation that has an x squared term, we're going to have two answers, the positive and the negative. So we have to be really careful. And I have students forget this all the time because we've been doing the Pythagorean theorem and not even worried about the negative answer, but it really is there. Okay, so, but we ignore it when we're talking about the side length of a triangle. Now, let's solve this equation. We know how to solve this. It's a two-step procedure. We look on the side with a variable, even this variable is squared, it's still a variable term, and we're going to first add or subtract to eliminate the plus 1. Well, we'll subtract. So I'm going to put a minus 1 under both sides, and I'm going to bring down my 3x squared. 1 minus 1 will cancel out. I'll bring down my equal sign, and I get 27 for the difference. Now, let's isolate the x squared term by dividing both sides by 3. So I'm going to divide by 3, and I get x squared equals 9. Okay, are we talking about the length of a triangle side? No, we're solving for all numbers squared whose product is 9. Well, there are 2. And what I tell students is, let that exponent of 2 remind you that there are 2 solutions when we are just solving an equation, not doing a Pythagorean theorem problem. And so we have x can equal 3 and x can equal negative 3. There are 2 answers, and we box them both. I will also tell you that you can't put this in my math assistant, I'm sure, but when we get into upper level math, you might see this, plus minus 3. 2 answers, plus minus 3. Okay, now let's try another one. Here I have 2x squared equals 10. Let's divide both sides by 2, and I get x squared equals 5. Now, this one is tricky, okay, because we don't have a number that squared gives me 5 exactly, do we? Okay, we have 3 squared equals 9, or negative 3 squared equals 9. We have 4 squared equals 16, negative 4 squared equals 16, but 5. What do I do about that? Well, this is what I do, and it's really kind of weird, okay, but it makes sense. All right, on this side, I'm just going to say x. Now, on this side, when we do a problem like this, what are we really doing? We're finding the square root of 9, or we're finding the square root of 16. Well, over here, we want to find the square root of 5, but we don't know what it is. So what do? We just write the square root of 5 as our answer. I know that seems unsettling, but that's exactly what we write. That's it. And what other answer would be true? The negative square root of 5. And so there are 2 solutions here, the positive root of 5 and the negative root of 5. So if it doesn't come out to something that we call a perfect square, like 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, then we leave it as the square root of the number. And these are irrational numbers. Irrational. They cannot be written as a ratio, okay, as a fraction. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at this example. We've got 5 less than what number squared is 20? Well, there's a lot going on there. Well, 5 less than, just put a pause button on that, and let's first write what number squared. So I'm going to take n and square it. What number squared? And now I'm going to tag on to that the 5 less than, which means I'm going to subtract 5 from a number squared. So 5 less than what number squared? You know what is means, is 20. Now, what do I do to both sides here? I add 5 to both sides, draw my line, n squared, that cancels out, equals 25. Well, how many solutions am I going to have here? I'm going to have 2. And they are, my number can equal 5, or my number could equal -5. 2 solutions when I'm not doing the Pythagorean theorem, okay? 2 solutions. Now we have one more example, and then we're going to go to the homework, and that is you might see a problem like this. And this is a proportion which we always solve with cross multiplication. So let's go ahead and do that, but it's a little bit different than what we're used to. Let's go ahead and start with the variable cross products. I have x times x. Well, you know what x times x is. It's x squared is equal to, now I've got 3 times 12. Well, in this case, instead of keeping it as 3 times 12, I'm going to go ahead and multiply 3 times 12, and I get 36. Because this is a little bit different. This is just a plain old x squared on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and write the product 36 on this side, because I'm not going to be dividing by anything and canceling. This is just going to be x squared equals 36. Okay, how many answers do I have? I have 2 answers, okay? And my answer, x, is going to be the positive and negative square root of 36. Well, what is the positive square root of 36? 6. What is the negative? -6. So -6 and +6 both can be squared and give me an answer of 36. Okay, let's move on to the homework now. We've got number 24. Number 24. So go ahead and get out your homework sheet, and please show me the amount of work that you have always shown me all year on your homework, okay? Some of y'all have gotten too skimpy, and it is not good. You need, math is going to be something that's going to carry over to next year. You need to keep using the same habits you've been using and showing the same work you've used all the way through, okay? All righty. Now, 3m squared plus 2 equals 50, number 24. Well, it's a 2-step problem. I'm going to look on the side with the variable term and first add or subtract. I have a +2. The opposite is subtracting 2, so put a -2 under the +2 and under the 50 on the other side of the equal sign. Remember, we're keeping that equation balanced by taking away 2 from both sides, keeping it balanced. All right, so I'm going to bring down my 3m squared. Cancel out my 2 minus 2. 50 minus 2 is 48. What's my next step going to be? Isolate the variable term. Even though it's squared, we're still going to isolate it by dividing both sides by 3. Divide by 3. M squared equals, well, 48 divided by 3? 16. Okay. How many solutions am I going to have? 2 solutions. The first one is going to be m equals the positive square root of 16, which is 4. The other one is going to be the negative square root of 16, which is -4. There are 2 solutions that make that equation true, because -4 times -4 is 16, and 4 times 4 is 16. Now, I thought, since that's the only one we had from the homework today, from the new concept, I'd go ahead and do number 15 with you, because it's a little bit more complicated, and then I'll tell you what your omissions are, okay? All right, so let's look at number 15. Number 15 is a cylinder surface area problem, but they're only asking for part of the surface area. So let's look at it. We're given a cylinder with a diameter of 6 and with a height of 3. And it tells me, if you were to consider this a can with a label, what is the area of the label? Okay, now, normally for surface area, we find the area of the top and bottom lid and add the area of the label. But guess what? They don't want to know the area of the top and bottom circles. All I'm trying to calculate is the area of the label. It's called the lateral or side surface area. Now let's remember, what are the two dimensions of this rectangle? Well, this is the height, obviously. But what is this measure here? Well, it is the label wrapped around the can. It's going to be the circumference of the circle, circumference of the lid of the circle. So, and circumference is pi d. And so what I'm actually trying to calculate here is pi times the diameter times the height, because length times width gives me area. Okay, so my surface, I'm going to call it LSA. It's really lateral surface area. Okay, I'm just finding the area of that label on the side, around the side. Okay, now what do we want? I should have looked here on number 15. I'm going to peek at the book myself. We are going to be using 3.14 for pi. What is the diameter? The diameter is 6. What is the height of the can? It is the distance that circle is dragged through space. It is a 3. And so now to find the lateral surface area, I'm simply going to multiply pi times 18. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got pi. You go ahead and do it at your table or desk or wherever you are. Pi times 18. Let's all go ahead and do that ourselves, and we'll compare our answers. I'm getting 56.52. And my units, I hope you did too. Let me peek and make sure I'm right there. Good. It's the right answer. Okay, don't forget that decimal point, 2 decimal places with pi there. And then what are my units in? Well, inches, and this is surface area, so it's going to be square inches. And that's how we calculate just the lateral surface area, or the area of the rectangle label that wraps around the can. Okay, now I know you're interested in our omissions today. All right, now first of all, let me say this. Khan Academy, I'm only assigning 1 to try to lighten your load, but the problem is 1 Khan Academy assignment a week. Some of y'all are forgetting now. So I've noticed that I've had to put quite a few missings in, those kind of zeros for quiz grades, but you can go back and do those. So go back and fill those in. You just, on the assignment for your class, instead of active, you select the past link. And it'll go and tell you when they were due, but you can, it says start. You can still just click on start and do those. It's better to have some kind of grade than a 0. So I'm trying to give you every opportunity to go back and do that. So this is a great time to improve your grade. It's a great time. You can do a Khan Academy as many times as you want. You can enter in homework answers into my math as many times as you want. So I'm trying to make things as fair and accessible for you, and as just give you opportunities to be really successful. And some of y'all are taking tremendous responsibility and dependability, and your grade has never been better, and I know you're working hard, and I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our omissions. So I'm going to put omit. Now there's quite a few today. There's 10. Oh, 10. Okay. So some of these problems are just getting very difficult, and I'm not here to help everybody with them. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave these off. I've got 4, 5, 8, 11, 12. And then I've got 14, 18, 20, 21, and 23. Now I'm going to put right up here con. Don't forget con, okay? Don't forget Con. And then tomorrow we have a special lesson where we're going to need a calculator to do some special calculations on simple and compound interest. It's an application in the banking world, okay? So you will need a calculator tomorrow. We're only going to use the calculator for those problems. So I'm going to have you be on your honor not to use the calculator on the other problems, but we will need it for tomorrow's lesson 110 in order to calculate simple and compound interest, okay? So don't forget Khan Academy. Go back and do that. This is a great time because you only have 10 omissions here. All right. I think the Khan Academy, I think there might be two different assignments. One is slope. I think the other is scientific notation as a review. Okay. Those will be quiz grades. So here are your omissions. Here they are. Look at all those guys. And then Khan Academy. All right. Well, I'll see you at Zoom at 1 or 2. And if I don't see you then, I will be back to do lesson 110 with you tomorrow. Have a blessed Monday. Bye-bye.